synopsis from from last Monday, we learned about the marriage that had happened between Shiva and Sati, and the atmosphere was full of festivities. You know, everybody was happy. Daksha gave dowry to Sati as his present for the marriage. So everyone, they eulogized Shiva with full devotion. Brahma performed actually all the sacrificial ceremonies, all the rites as a priest. So during that time, Vishnu came to Shiva and asked him one wish, and he told him that he should kill anyone who would see or listen to Sati in a lustful way. And Shiva did grant him that wish. So while performing the rites, Brahma saw one of the foot of Sati, and he was aroused, and to an extent that he wanted to see her face. He did some tricks. He created an illusion and put some wet sticks into the fire, which created smoke. And during that time, when everybody had smoke in front of them, he went and saw Sati's face multiple times, and did thought of her, with wrong intentions. So Shiva, who is the lord of delusion, knew what is happening, and upon seeing that, he really got upset. He really got angry of Brahmaji, and he picked up his trident to kill him. Brahmaji asked for forgiveness. All the gods were very fearful of seeing him picking up the trident to kill Brahma. Everyone, requested him not to do that. But Shiva was, very, very angry of him, and he was about to kill him. And then Vishnuji stopped him and requested him not to kill Brahma for the sin he's done. So Brahmaji also, regretted, and then said sorry, and asked him for how he can perform penance for the sin he has done. Vishnuji told Shivji that, Vishnu, Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma, these are all form of the same divine soul. These are not separate entities, so one cannot kill own self. So he requested him to, calm down and forgive him. So Shivji did forgive him and asked him to perform the rest of the rites. The rest of the rites were performed by Brahma. It went all well, and Shivji was very happy. At that point of time, he asked Brahma to ask for something, and Brahmaji asked him to show him the path to establish Rudra and Sati there in that altar, so that any person who wanted to regret of their wrongdoings can be forgiven of their sins, praying on that day, in the month of March and April, with the same alignment of stars, and any woman who's barren or having any issues would be forgiven as well. So Shiva did grant him that wish. Daksha, everything went well. Everything else, everything. All the Shivaji and his ganas, along with all the gods, they celebrated, and they went back to Kailasha. And after they went back, all the gods, took Agya from Shivaji, and then they all went back. This was what we read from what we read last time on Monday. Today we would be reading 3 chapters. These are not very long chapters. These are 21, 22, 23. We would read more about devotion, which Sati would show for Shivaji. And 2 more. Our English reader is Anil uncle, and our Hindi reader is Ashwani uncle. Thank you. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji. I apologize for any mispronunciations. Chapter 21, the Delusion of Sati and Shiva. Narda said, "Oh dear, your words are perfect, insomuch as you are omniscient, sinless one. The wonderful auspicious story of Shiva and Shiva has been heard by us. We have heard the detailed account of their marriage that destroys delusions, makes one endowed with true knowledge, and which is excellently auspicious. I wish to know more of the auspicious story of Shiva and Shiva. Hence, having unequal consideration for me, O intelligent one, please narrate the same. Brahma said, your inquiries for the history of the merciful Lord are pursued well, since you have prompted me to narrate the divine sports of Shiva. Know from me what Shiva did with pleasures on reaching his abode after his marriage with goddess Sati, Daksha's daughter and the mother of 3 worlds. O celestial sage, after reaching his gay abode along with his ganas, Shiva descended from his bull with great pleasure. O celestial sage, entering his apartment in a befitting manner along with Sati, Shiva, assuming worldly conventions, rejoiced very much. Then, after approaching Sati, Shiva sent out his attendants Nandin and others from the cave in the mountain. Following the manner of the people out of the world, the merciful Lord spoke these affable and courteous words to Nandin and others. Lord Shiva said, O my attendants, with minds respectfully concentrated in thinking upon me, you shall come to me only when I remember you. When Shiva said like this, Nandin and others who constituted the powerful set of attendants of quickly sped left for different places. When they went away and he was left alone with Sati, Shiva rejoiced much and sported with her. Sometimes he gathered some sylvan flowers and wreathed a fine garland out of them, which he put around her neck in the place of the necklace. While Sati was admiring at the reflection of her face in the mirror, Shiva came behind and peeped into the reflection of his own face. Sometimes he would be sporting with her earrings, tying and untying and scrubbing them himself. Sometimes, by application of red dye, Shiva made her naturally red feet completely red. Many things which could be said aloud even in the presence of many, Shiva whispered into her ears in order to see her face. He would not go far from her, if at all he went. He would return suddenly and close her eyes from behind, and while she was thinking about something else, he would ask her his name. Sometimes Shiva would become invisible through his maya and then suddenly embrace her, when she would become terrified and agitated. Sometimes with musk he would make marks like bees on her breasts and that resembled the buds of a golden lotus. Sometimes he would take the necklace off her breasts and press them with his hands. Sometimes he would remove the bracelets, bangles, rings from their place and fix them again one by one. Even as she was looking on, sometimes he would come to her lofty breasts, saying with laughter, his dark spot, Kalika, on your breasts is a companion of the same color, as it contains the same letters as are found in your name, Kalika. Sometimes when he was too much excited with love, he would exchange pleasantries with his beloved. Sometimes he would gather lotuses and other beautiful flowers and decorate with them as though with ornaments. In the company of his beloved Shiva, who is favorably disposed to his devotees, sported about among the mountain hedges. Without her, he did not move anywhere. He did not stay anywhere. He did not carry on activity without her company. Shiva was not happy without her even for a moment. After dallying among the hedges and grottos in the Kailasha mountains for a long time, he went to the Himalayan ridges where he remembered Kama out of his own accord. When Kama reached the vicinity of Shiva, spring spread all his splendor in accord with the inclination of the Lord. The trees and creepers blossomed and boomed. Waters were covered with full-blown lotuses. Bees hovered around the lotuses. When that excellent season set in, the gentle Malaya breeze, fragrant and delightful due to sweet-smelling flowers, blew all around. The balsa flowers, resembling the hue of the twilight and shaped like the crescent moon, shone like the flowery arrow of Kama at the feet of trees. The lotus flowers shone in the lakes. The goddess winds endeavored to fascinate people with their sweet face. With their flowers golden in hue, the Nagasara trees shone beautifully like the banners of Kama. Rendering the breeze fragrant with its smell, the cove creeper fascinated the minds of passionate people with its sweetness. The mango trees and the salil plants shining like mild fire shone upon the open couches for the flowery arrows of Kama. With full-blown lotuses, the pure waters of the lake shone like the minds of sages, wherein supreme splendor Atma is clearly reflected. The dewdrops, as they come in contact with the rays of the sun, turned into vapors like the hearts of the people, turning pure in association with the good. The nights became bright with moon devoid of mist. Lovely women shone beautifully in the company of their lovers. In this atmosphere, on that excellent mountain, Lord Shiva sported about for a long time among the groves, hedges, and streams in the company of Sati. O sage, then Savi so exercised her splendid influence on Shiva that he did not have mental peace without her even for a moment. The goddess satisfied his mind in fullness. The goddess satisfied his mind in the fullness in the matter of intercourse. She seemed to enter his body. He made her drink that juice. With garlands of flowers wreathed by himself, he decorated her person and felt new pleasures. With diverse conversations, glances, jokes, remarking the exchange of pleasantries, he instructed Shiva in the knowledge of self. Drinking the nectar from her moon face, Shiva stabilized his body. Sometimes he experienced exhilarating and particularly pleasing state. Just as a huge elephant that is bound with ropes cannot have any other activity, he was also bound by the sweet fragrance of a lotus-like face, her beauty, and her joyous pleasantries. Thus, in the ridges and caverns of the Himalayan mountains, the Lord sported about in the company of Sati every day. According to the calculation of the Devas, 25 years elapsed, O celestial sage, during which he dallied thus. Chapter 21. Brahma said, once at the advent of clouds, Daksha's daughter said to Shiva, who was halting on the ridge of Kailasha's mountain. Sati said, O Lord of Devas, O Shiva, my dear husband, please hear my words and do accordingly, O bestower of honor. The most unbearable season of the advent of clouds has arrived, with clusters of clouds of diverse hues and their music reverberating in the sky and the various quarters. The speedy gusts of wind scattering sprays of water mingled with nectarine drops from the kadamba flowers captivated the hearts as they blow. Whose mind will not be agitated by the loud and forceful rumblings of the clouds that release a heavy downpour and have beams of lightning for their ensign? Covered by clouds, neither the sun nor the moon is visible. Even the day appears like night, and it distresses those who are separated from their lovers. O Shiva, tossed about by the gusts of the winds and clouds, do not remain steady in any place. They rumble and appear as if they fall on the heads of people. Huge trees struck down by the winds appear to dance in the sky, terrifying the cowards and delighting the lover, O Shiva. Flocks of cranes above the clouds, glossy and blue, like the shine-like foam in the surface of Yamuni. During the close of the night, the circle of lightning appears like the blazing submarine fire in the ocean. O odd-eyed Shiva, here even in the courtyards of the temples plants grow. Need I mention the growth of plants elsewhere? With the clusters of clouds dark, silvery and red in coloring clinging to the Madhra Mountain's peak, Himalayan appears as the ocean of milk with the birds of diverse colors. Unraveled splendor has resorted to the Kishuka flowers devoid of odor, as Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, abandons good people and resorts to the crooked, whether of high or low birth. The peacocks are delighted at the sound of the cloud over the Madhra Mountains. Their gleeful crackles and outstretched tails indicate the incident's pleasure of their heart. The sweet and delightful sounds of the Chakta birds that are fond of clouds fall upon the wayfarers like the arrows of rain showers causing incessant pain. See the wickedness perpetrated by the clouds on my body. They are pelting it with hailstones, but they cover and protect the peacocks and Jatkas who are their followers. On seeing the distress of peacocks and deer from even their friend sun, the swans go even to the distant Mansa lake on top of the mountains. In this troublesome time, even crows and kokra birds build their nests, but you don't. Without a home, how will you be happy? O Pinkabera Shiva, let not the great fear originating from the clouds befall us. Hence endeavor for a residence. Do not delay, heed my word. O bull-embeddled God, either in Kailasha or in the Himalayas or in the Mahanakshi, on earth you make a befitting habitation. Brahma said, thus advised by Sati frequently, Shiva laughed, provoking a smile from the moon on his head by way of its beams. Then the high-souled Lord Shiva, who knew all the principles, spoke to Sati with a smile, breaking his lips and consoling her. Shiva said, O my beloved, beautiful woman, clouds will not reach the place where I have to make an abode for you. O come, lass. Even in the rainy seasons, the clouds move about in and side ridges alone of the Himalayas. O gentle lady, the clouds usually come only upon the foot of Kailasha. They will never go above it. The clouds never go above the mountains Sumeru. The clouds Pukrasha, Avartat, etc. reach the foot of Jambu and return. Of these mountains I have mentioned, you can choose one for your residence as you desire. Please tell me quickly where you wish to reside. O the Himalayan mountains, songs exciting your curiosity and enthusiastic shall be sung by clusters and swarms of bees with sweet humming sounds as they play about as they please. On the mountains, at the time when you wish to sport about, the Siddha woman will gaily offer you a seat on the jewelry-studded platform and gladly present you with fruits and other gifts. The daughters of the kings of serpents and mountain Dasmels, the Naga ladies, and the Mooks will assist you in their exciting fluttering and congratulating you. Seeing your face of unequaled splendor and beauty and your body of uncommon lust, the celestial ladies there, despising their own beauty and lacking in interest in their own qualities, will begin to stare at you with winkless eyes. Menaka, the wife of the king of the mountains, famous in the three worlds for her beauty and good qualities, will delight you very much through words of entries. The honorable ladies of the Himalayas harem will cause immense pleasure to your gracious self. They will impart your useful instructions, though you need none, with pleasure every day. O beloved, do you wish to go to the Himalayas, the king of the mountains, wherein there is a spring forever, which abounds in hedges and groves, where the cuckoos coo and in diverse pleasuring ways, and which contains many lakes filled with cool water and hundreds of lotuses? It is fully grassy plains and trees that yield everything one desires, and hence on a par with kalpa trees. You can see plenty of flowers, horses, elephants, and cows there. There in the Himalayas, even the beasts of prey are calm, in the abode of many sages and ancestors. It is an abode of devas, and many deer move about it. It shines with ramparts of crystal, gold, and silver. It is lustrous with lakes, manasas, and others. It abodes in buds and full-blown lotuses with golden stalks studded with gems. Crocodiles, sharks, and tortoises abound in the lake. O goddess of devas, there are many beautiful blue lotuses emitting sweet fragrances. On the banks there are many grasslands, small and big, trees, and the saffron flowers increasing the fragrance of the waters with which the lakes are full. The apricot tree seems to dance with their oscillating branches. They seem to be fanning the self-born god of love. There are sarana birds and intoxicated chakrava birds heightening to its beauty. The different parts of the mountains, Meru seems to be echoing the pleasure-sweet sounds of bees, etc., which cause the enticement of love and guardians of the quarters, viz. Indra, Kubarna, Yama, Varuna, Agni, Nitri, Marut, and Supreme Lord Aisha. Heaven, the abode of the Devas, is stationed in the summits of Meru. Whereas the cities of the guardians of the quarters are also situated, they are brilliant, beautiful celestial damsels, Raba, Sachi, Menaksha, and other heightened their glory. Do you wish to sport about on this great mountain, which is very beautiful and which appears to contain the essence of all mountains? There are Queen Sachi, attended by her chaperons and celestial damsels, which assist you always. Or do you wish to have an abode in my own Kalasha, the great mountain, offering shelter to the good and enhanced in the beauty by the luminous city of Kubera? O beautiful lady, tell me quickly, where do you wish to stay among these places? Whether in Kalasha, which is pure and holy by virtue of the river Ganga, lustrous like the full moon, or the beautiful mountain Muru, whereas the maidens of the sages recite and chant hymns in the caves and ridges, or in places full of various deer and hundreds of lotus lakes. I shall make arrangements for your residence. Brahma said, when Shiva said thus, Swati solely told Shiva, revealing her desire. Sati said, I wish to stay only on the Himalayas along with you. You please make arrangements for a residence on that mountain at once. Brahma said, on hearing her words, Shiva was fascinated and he went to the summit of the Himalayas along with her. He reached the beautiful summit where the Siddha ladies resided, which could not be reached by birds and which shone with lakes and forests. The top was variegated colors as various gems, embellished by lotuses of diverse forms, shapes, and lustre. Shiva in the company of Sati reached that top, which shone like the rising sun. On top of the mountain near the city of Himalaya, Shiva sported about for a long time in the company of Sati. It was a very beautiful place, which abounded in the crystalline clouds. It shone with grassy plains and plenty of trees. There were various flowers in abundance. It had many lakes. The boughs and the full-blown and blossom trees were surrounded by humming bees. Lotuses and blue lilies were in full bloom. Different kinds of birds flew there, such as chakrava, gadaba, swans, geese, and intoxicated sranas, cranes, and peacocks. The sweet note of the male cuckoos reverberated there. Many kinds of semi-divine beings, the Ashmamukas, the Siddhas, the Asparanas, the Gunyakas, etc., roamed there. They are womenfolk. The Kinaris and the mountains lassies played there and played about there and there. The celestial damsels played on their lutes, tabours, and drums and danced with enthusiasm. Thus the top of the mountain abounded by in beautiful women, beautiful lakes, fragrant flowers, and groves full of full-blown flowers. In that heaven-like spot, Shiva sported about with Sati for 10,000 years according to divine calculation. Shiva went from place to place. Sometimes he went to top of Meru, wherein gods and goddesses resided. He went to different continents, parks, forests on the earth. After visiting the different places, he returned home and lived with his day and night. Sati stared into the face of Shiva, and he, great Lord, stared into the face of Sati. Thus, by their mutual association, Kali and Shiva nurtured the tree of love, sprinkling it with water of emotions. Chapter 23. The Power of Devotion. Brahma said, after sporting about like this until satiety with Shiva, Sati became less attached. One day, after delighting the Lord with her devotion obsessions, Sati, the daughter of Daka, spoke thus to Shiva. Sati said, O great Lord of Lords, the ocean of mercy, O great yogi and uplifter of the distressed, take pity on me. You are great Purana, the Lord beyond Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. You are both Saguna and Niguna. You are a great Lord, a cosmic witness, and free from aberration. I am blessed since, Lord, you became my husband because of your love for your devotees. O Lord, after sporting with you for so many years, I have become fully sedated, and now my mind is turned away from it. O Lord of gods, I wish to know the great pleasing principle whereby, O Shiva, all living beings surmounted worldly miseries in a trice. O Lord, please explain that activity which enables people to obtain the supreme region and free themselves from world bondage. Brahma said, O sage, the primordial goddess asked Shiva, thus only for the sake of uplifting worldly creatures. On hearing that, Lord Shiva, whose mind is engrossed in the patience of yoga and who assumes physical bodies out of his own accords, spoke to Sati. Shiva said, O goddess Sati, listen. I shall explain the great principle whereby the remorseful creature becomes a liberated soul. O great goddess, know that the perfect knowledge is the great principle, the consciousness that I am Brahma is the perfect intellect where nothing else is remembered. This consciousness is very rare in three worlds. O beloved, I am Brahma, the greatest of the great, and very few are those who know my real nature. Devotion to me is considered as the bestower of worldly pleasures and salvation. It is achievable only by grace. It is ninefold. There is no difference between devotion and perfect knowledge. A person who is engrossed in devotion enjoys perpetual happiness. Perfect knowledge never descends in a vicious person adverse to devotion. Attracted by devotion and as a result of its influence, O goddess, I go even to the house of the baseborn and outcast. There is no doubt about it. Devotion is variously classified as attributive and attributeless, as conventional and natural, greater and lesser, perpetual and non-perpetual. There are six further subdivisions of the perpetual devotion. Scholars further classify it into enjoined and non-enjoined. Thus, devotions are manifold, which have been explained elsewhere. O beloved sages have explained that the different kinds of devotions have 9 auxiliary adjuncts. O daughter of Daksha, I shall narrate them to you with love. I shall narrate them to which you will listen with love. According to scholars, O goddess, the 9 ancillary adjuncts are listening, adulizing, remembering, serving, surrendering, worshipping, saluting, friendliness, and dedication. O Shiva, its further subdivisions too have been explained. O goddess, listen to the characteristics of these 9 adjuncts separately. By listening is meant the inhibiting of my stories that bestow worldly pleasures and salvations with great devotion in steady posture. After convincing in the mind the details of my manifestations and activities, loudly and cheerfully, proclaiming the same in order to eulogize me, in which is what is called eulogizing. O goddess, after realizing me to be all-pervading, a feeling of fearlessness is what is called remembering. The service remembered to the Godhead, commencing at early dawn with mind, speech, hands, and feet, is called serving. Surrendering oneself in the service of the Godhead, who is worthy of being served, and serving with all the sense organs, feeling hearty sense of elation, is what is called surrendering. Offering 16 types of service to me, the Supreme Soul, in accordance with one's capacity, is called worshipping. The 16 types of service are padya, etc. Meditating in the mind, repeating the mantras and touching the ground with 8 limbs is called saluting. The belief, whatever God bestows on me, good or bad, is for my welfare, is a characteristic sign of friendliness. Dedicating everything, the body and other possessions, for the Godhead and retaining nothing for oneself is called dedication. These 9 adjuncts to the devotion of me cause perfect knowledge, bestow worldly pleasures, and salvations are pleasing to me. And the further subdivisions in the adjuncts are numerous. Nurturing the bilva tree, etc., can be included therein. They shall be thought of by the devotee himself. O beloved, thus my devotion with various adjuncts and auxiliaries in contributory to salvation, since it is productive of perfect knowledge and detachment. It is the most excellent path. A true devotee is as enduring to me as to you. It is productive of the fruits of all rights forever. He who has his mind in a great favorite of mine. There is no other path as easy and pleasing as devotion in the 3 worlds. O goddess of Devas, in all the 4 yugs, generally in and Kali Yuga particularly. Knowledge and detachment have grown old and have lost their lust in the Kali age. They have become decayed and worn out, as people who can grasp them are rare. In the Kali age, as in all 4 yugs, there is immediately and visible benefit of devotion. I am subservient to a devotee in a view of power of devotion. I always assist a man endowed with devotion and remove his obstacles. A person devoid of devotion is worthy of being punished. There is no doubt about that. I am the protector of my devotees. For the protection of a devotee of mine, I burnt the god of deaths, O goddess, in the fire emerging from my eyes. For the sake of a devotee of mine, I become very furious with the sun formerly. I overpowered him with my trident. I was not a party to the evil actions of Ravan, though he was my devotee. For the sake of another devotee, I discarded Ravan with all his followers. O goddess, for the sake of a devotee, I angrily expelled Vyas when he had a vicious thought from Kasi after punishing him duly through Nandan. Why shall I say more, O my goddess? I am always subservient to a devotee, always under the control of a person who practices devotion, and there is no doubt in this. Brahma said, on hearing this greatness of devotion, Sati, the daughter of Daksha, was delighted much and bowed to Shiva with pleasure. O sage, again she asked with great devotions more about the subject as explained in the Sastras, which is pleasing and conducive to the uplift of all creatures. She inquired about topics on virtue and righteous living, uplighting and the creatures and the sacred lore of yatras and mantras together with their greatness. On hearing the inquiry of Sati, Shiva was delighted and he narrated them with pleasure in their entirety for raising the worldly creatures. The sacred lore bearing on the subject, the glory and greatness of the illustrious Lord, Shiva explained himself with yatras with their 5 adjuncts. He told their legendary stories, the greatness of the victories, the norms of people of different castes and stages in their life, and duties of kings, O great sage. The duties of son, wives, etc., and their greatness, the imperishable system of varnas and ashramas, the medical law, the astral lore, all benefit to the worldly creatures were explained by him. Out of compassion for her, the great Lord explained the science and palmistry and similar other laws to her. Thus Sati and Shiva, who are instructional, and the supreme Brahma, who are the bestowers of happiness on the 3 worlds, who are omniscient, who are bent upon rendering help to other people, who appear as a personification of good qualities sported about in Kalasha, in the Himalayas and other places. Thank you, Jai Guruji. And now Ashwini uncle will read in Hindi.
Jai Guruji. सती का प्रश्न तथा उसके उत्तर में भगवान शिव द्वारा ज्ञान एवं नवदा भक्ति के स्वरूप का विवेचन। कैलाश तथा हिमालय पर्वत पर श्री शिव और सती के विविध विहारों का विस्तार पूर्वक वर्णन करने के पश्चात ब्रह्मा जी ने कहा, मुने, एक दिन की बात है, देवी सती एकांत में भगवान शंकर से मिली और उन्हें भक्ति पूर्वक प्रणाम करके दोनों हाथ जोड़ खड़ी हो गई। प्रभु शंकर को पूर्ण प्रसन्न जानकर नमस्कार करके विनीत भाव से खड़ी हुई दक्ष कुमारी सती भक्ति भाव से अंजलि बांधे बोली। सती ने कहा, देव देव महादेव, करुणा सागर, प्रभो, दीनोद्वार प्रायण, महायोगिन, मुझ पर कृपा कीजिए। आप परम पुरुष हैं, सबके स्वामी हैं, रजोगुण, सत्वगुण और तमोगुण से परे हैं, निर्गुण भी हैं, सगुण भी हैं, सबके साक्षी, निर्विकार और महाप्रभु हैं। हर मैं धन्य हूं जो आपकी कामिनी और आपके साथ सुंदर विहार करने वाली आपकी प्रिया हुई। स्वामिन, आप भक्त वत्सलता से ही प्रेरित होकर मेरे पति हुए हैं। नाथ, मैंने बहुत वर्षों तक आपके साथ विहार किया है। महेशान, इससे मैं बहुत संतुष्ट हुई हूं और अब मेरा मन उधर से हट गया है। देवेश्वर हर, अब तो मैं उस परम तत्व का ज्ञान प्राप्त करना चाहती हूं जो निर्तिशय सुख प्रदान करने वाला है तथा जिसके द्वारा जीव संसार दुख से अनायास ही उद्धार पा सकता है। नाथ, जिस क्रम का अनुष्ठान करके विषय जीव भी परम पद को प्राप्त कर ले और संसार बंधन में ना बंधे, उसे आप बताइए, मुझ पर कृपा कीजिए। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, मुने, इस प्रकार आदिशक्ति महेश्वरी सती ने केवल जीवों के उद्धार के लिए जब उत्तम भक्ति भाव के साथ भगवान शंकर से प्रश्न किया, तब उनके इस प्रश्न को सुनकर स्वेच्छा से शरीर धारण करने वाले तथा योग के द्वारा भोग से विरक्त चित्त वाले स्वामी शिव ने अत्यंत प्रसन्न होकर सती से इस प्रकार कहा। शिव बोले, देवी दक्ष नंदिनी महेश्वरी, सुनो, मैं उस परम तत्व का वर्णन करता हूं जिससे वासनाबद्ध जीव तत्काल मुक्त हो सकता है। परमेश्वरी, तुम विज्ञान को परम तत्व जानो। विज्ञान वह है जिसके उदय होने पर मैं ब्रह्मा हूं ऐसा दृढ़ निश्चय हो जाता है। ब्रह्मा के सिवा दूसरी कोई किसी वस्तु का स्मरण नहीं रहता तथा उस विज्ञानी पुरुष की बुद्धि सर्वथा शुद्ध हो जाती है। प्रिय, वह विज्ञान दुर्लभ है। इस त्रिलोकी में उसका ज्ञाता कोई विरला ही होता है। वह जो और जैसा भी है सदा मेरा स्वरूप ही है, साक्षात परात्पर ब्रह्मा है। उस विज्ञान की माता है मेरी भक्ति, जो भोग और मोक्ष रूप फल प्रदान करने वाली है। वह मेरी कृपा से सुलभ होती है। भक्ति 9 प्रकार की बताई गई है। सती, भक्ति और ज्ञान में कोई भेद नहीं है। भक्ति और ज्ञानी दोनों को ही सदा सुख प्राप्त होता है। जो भक्ति का विरोधी है उसे ज्ञान की प्राप्ति नहीं होती। देवी, मैं सदा भक्त के अधीन रहता हूं और भक्ति के प्रभाव से जातिहीन नीच मनुष्यों के घरों में भी चला जाता हूं, इसमें संशय नहीं है। सती, वह भक्ति 2 प्रकार की है, सगुना और निर्गुणा। जो वैधि शास्त्र विधि से प्रेरित और स्वाभाविकी हृदय के सहज अनुराग से प्रेरित भक्ति होती है, वह श्रेष्ठ है। तथा इसमें भिन्न जो कामना मूलक भक्ति होती है वह निम्न कोटि की मानी गई है। पूर्वोक्त सगुना और निर्गुणा ये दोनों प्रकार की भक्तियां नैष्ठिकी और अनैष्ठिकी के भेद से 2 भेद वाली हो जाती हैं। नैष्ठिकी भक्ति 6 प्रकार की जाननी चाहिए और अनैष्ठिकी एक ही प्रकार की कही गई है। विद्वान पुरुष विहिता और अविहिता आदि भेद से उसे अनेक प्रकार की मानते हैं। इन द्विविध भक्तियों के बहुत से भेद प्रभेद होने के कारण इनके तत्व का अन्यत्र वर्णन किया गया है। प्रिय, मुनियों ने सगुना और निगुना दोनों भक्तियों को 9 अंग बताए हैं। दक्ष नंदिनी, मैं उन 9 अंगों का वर्णन करता हूं, तुम प्रेम से सुनो। देवी, श्रवण, कीर्तन, स्मरण, सेवन, दास्य, अर्चन, सदा, मेरा वंदन, सख्य और आत्मसमर्पण, ये विद्वानों ने भक्ति के 9 अंग माने हैं। शिवे, भक्ति के उपांग भी बहुत से बताए गए हैं। देवी, अब तुम मन लगाकर मेरी भक्ति के पूर्वोक्त 9 अंगों के पृथक पृथक लक्षण सुनो। वे लक्षण भोग और मोक्ष प्रदान करने वाले हैं। जो स्थिर आसन से बैठकर तन मन आदि से मेरी कथा कीर्तन आदि का नित्य सम्मान करता हुआ प्रसन्नता पूर्वक अपने श्रवण पुटों से उसके अमृतोपम रस का पान करता है, उसके इस साधन को श्रवण कहते हैं। जो हृदय काश के द्वारा मेरे दिव्य जन्म कर्मों का चिंतन करता हुआ प्रेम से वाणी द्वारा उसका उच्च स्वर से उच्चारण करता है, उसके इस भजन साधन को कीर्तन कहते हैं। देवी, नित्य महेश्वर को सदा और सर्वत्र व्यापक जानकर जो संसार में निरंतर निर्भय रहता है उसी को स्मरण कहा गया है। अरुणोदय से लेकर हर समय सेव्य की अनुकूलता ध्यान रखते हुए हृदय और इंद्रियों से जो निरंतर सेवा की जाती है वही सेवन नामक भक्ति है। अपने को प्रभु का किंकर समझकर हृदय मृत से भोग से स्वामी का सदैव प्रिय संपादन करना दास्य कहा गया है। अपने धन वैभव के अनुसार शास्त्रीय विधि से मुझ परमात्मा को सदा पाध्य आदि 16 उपचारों का जो समर्पण करता है उसे अर्चन कहते हैं। मन से ध्यान और वाणी से वंदनात्मक मंत्रों के उच्चारण पूर्वक 8 अंगों से भूतल का स्पर्श करते हुए जो इष्ट देव को नमस्कार किया जाता है उसे वंदन कहते हैं। ईश्वर मंगल या अमंगल जो कुछ भी करता है वह सब मेरे मंगल के लिए ही है, ऐसा दृढ़ विश्वास रखना साख्य भक्ति का लक्षण है। देह आदि जो कुछ भी अपनी कही जाने वाली वस्तु है वह सब भगवान की प्रसन्नता के लिए उन्हीं को समर्पित करके अपने निर्वाह के लिए भी कुछ बचाकर ना रखना अथवा निर्वाह की चिंता से भी रहित हो जाना आत्मसमर्पण कहलाता है। ये मेरी भक्ति के 9 अंग हैं जो भोग और मोक्ष प्रदान करने वाले हैं। इनसे ज्ञान का प्राकट्य होता है तथा ये सब साधन मुझे अत्यंत प्रिय हैं। मेरी भक्ति के बहुत से उपांग भी कहे गए हैं, जैसे बिल्व आदि का सेवन आदि। इनको विचार से समझ लेना चाहिए। प्रिय, इस प्रकार मेरी सांगोपांग भक्ति सबसे उत्तम है। यह ज्ञान वैराग्य की जननी है और मुक्ति इसकी दासी है। यह सदा सब साधनों से ऊपर विराजमान है। इसके द्वारा संपूर्ण कर्मों के फल की प्राप्ति होती है। यह भक्ति मुझे सदा तुम्हारे समान ही प्रिय है। जिसके चित्त में नित्य निरंतर यह भक्ति निवास करती है, वह साधक मुझे अत्यंत प्यारा है। देवेश्वरी, तीनों लोकों और चारों युगों में भक्ति के समान दूसरा कोई सुखदायक मार्ग नहीं है। कलयुग में जो यह विशेष सुखद एवं सुविधाजनक है। देवी, कलयुग में प्राय ज्ञान और वैराग्य के कोई ग्राहक नहीं है। इसलिए वे दोनों वृद्ध, उत्साह शून्य और जर्जर हो गए हैं। परंतु भक्ति कलयुग में तथा अन्य सब युगों में भी प्रत्यक्ष फल देने वाली है। भक्ति प्रभाव से मैं सदा उसके वश में रहता हूँ, इसमें संशय नहीं है। संसार में जो भक्तिमान पुरुष है, उसकी मैं सदा सहायता करता हूँ, उसके सारे विघ्नों का दूर हटाता हूँ। उस भक्त का जो शत्रु होता है, वह मेरे लिए दंडनीय है, इसमें संशय नहीं है। देवी, मैं अपने भक्तों का रक्षक हूँ। भक्त की रक्षा के लिए मैंने कुपित हो अपने नेत्र जनित अग्नि से काल को भी दग्ध कर डाला था। प्रिय, भक्त के लिए मैं पूर्व काल में सूर्य पर भी अत्यंत क्रुद्ध हो उठा था और शूल लेकर मैंने उन्हें मार भगाया था। देवी, भक्त के लिए मैंने सैन्य सहित रावण को भी क्रोधपूर्वक त्याग दिया और उसके प्रति कोई पक्षपात नहीं किया। सती देवेश्वरी, बहुत कहने से क्या लाभ, मैं सदा ही भक्त के अधीन रहता हूँ और भक्ति करने वाले पुरुष के अत्यंत वश में हो जाता हूँ। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, नारद, इस प्रकार भक्त का महत्व सुनकर दक्ष कन्या सती को बहुत हर्ष हुआ। उन्होंने अत्यंत प्रसन्नतापूर्वक भगवान शिव को मन ही मन प्रणाम किया। मुने, सती देवी ने पुनः भक्ति कांड विषयक शास्त्र में के विषय में भक्ति पूर्वक पूछा। उन्होंने जिज्ञासा की कि जो लोक में सुखदायक तथा जीवों के उद्धार के साधनों का प्रतिपादक है, वह शास्त्र कौन सा है। उन्होंने यंत्र मंत्र शास्त्र, उसके महात्म्य तथा अन्य जीवोद्धारक धर्म में साधनों के विषय में विशेष रूप से जानने की इच्छा प्रकट की। सती के इस प्रश्न को सुनकर शंकर जी के मन में बड़ी प्रसन्नता हुई। उन्होंने जीवों के उद्धार के लिए सब शास्त्रों का प्रेम पूर्वक वर्णन किया। महेश्वर ने 5 अंगों सहित तंत्र शास्त्र, यंत्र शास्त्र तथा भिन्न भिन्न देवेश्वरों की महिमा का वर्णन किया। मुनीश्वर इतिहास कथा सहित उन देवताओं के भक्तों की महिमा का, वर्णाश्रम धर्मों का तथा राजधर्म का भी निरूपण किया। पुत्र और स्त्री के धर्म की महिमा का, कभी नष्ट न होने वाले वर्णाश्रम धर्म का और जीवों को सुख देने वाले वैद्यक शास्त्र और ज्योतिषा शास्त्र भी वर्णन किया। महेश्वर ने कृपा करके उत्तम सामुद्रिक शास्त्र का तथा और भी बहुत से शास्त्रों का तत्वतः वर्णन किया। इस प्रकार लोकोपकार करने के लिए सद्गुण संपन्न शरीर धारण करने वाले त्रिलोक सुखदायक और सर्वज्ञ सती शिव हिमालय के कैलाश शिखर पर तथा अन्यान्य स्थानों में नाना प्रकार की लीलाएं करते थे। वे दोनों दंपति साक्षात पर ब्रह्मा स्वरूप हैं। अध्याय 21 से 23 समाप्त। भूल चूक माफ। जय गुरु जी।